This is one of a series of videos produced by the Further Mathematics Support Programme for A-Level Mathematics Revision. In this video we're looking at the AQA D2 specification, and this is question 1 from June 2010 paper. The question starts off by showing us an activity diagram for a project with the times in days, and we're asked first of all to find the early start time and late finish time for each of the activities and put those in the figure 1, which is on the answer sheets. Having done that, find the critical paths and to state the minimum time for completion of the project. We're then to draw a cascade diagram for the projects, assuming that each activity starts as early as possible. Final part of the question then just changes things slightly and says a delay in supplies means that one of the activities, activity I, takes 9 days instead of 2. And what we have to do is to determine the earliest possible starting times of K and L, and then state the number of days by which the completion of the project is now delayed. Well, taking those then part at a time, the first thing we've got to do is to look at the early start times and put those in the left-hand box. So what we've got here are the durations in the middle box, and so if we take the first one, the first diagram, the first point A, we can see that that starts at 0 and has a duration of 4. So therefore the earliest that we can get to D is time 4. E can be reached from both A and B. So the longest time that we have there is again from A, giving us a value of 4. F can be reached from B or C, and the largest of those is going to be from B, giving us a value of 3 there. So carrying forward to the next column, as it were, looking at the top one, G, that can be reached from D and E. The total from D is 7, but from E we've got 4 plus 4, the earliest start time of E, plus its duration 4, giving us a value there of 8. H can be reached from E and F, and again the largest value of those is 8. I can only be reached from F, and again we've got here 3 plus 5, so again we've got a value there of 8. In the next row we've got to look at J coming from G or H, the largest value being 16 coming from G, the 8 plus the 8. For K, the largest value is 14, this time coming from the 8 plus the 6 in H. And finally, moving forward to L, 16 plus 2 is 18, but 14 plus 5 from K gives us a value of 19. So that completes the forward pass. We've then got to look at the late finishing time. So starting at L, that can finish, should finish latest at 21, which is the 19 plus the 2. Coming backwards then, we have to look at the finishing times for the others. So L needs to be started at 19, which means that both J and K need to be finished by time 19. Then to G, we can only get to G from J, 19 minus the 2, so we're subtracting this time, giving us 17. If we look at H, that can also come from K, and we've got 19 minus 5, which is 14. Remember, we want the smallest value here, so the latest that we want H to finish is the 14. And likewise, that value comes into I as 14. Working back to the next column at the top, D only comes from G, so we've got 17 minus 8, giving us a value there of 9. The 9 from G also goes to E, but looking at H, we've got 14 minus 6, so that gives us a value of 8. And the smallest value, 8, there from the 14 minus the 6 is also the value for the latest finishing time for F. And then working to the first column, we've got 9 minus 3 at the top is 6, but 8 minus 4 from E, giving us a value of 4 at A. And for B, the smallest value comes from F, 8 minus 5 being 3, and that is the value that also goes into C. So there we are, we've completed the forward path and the reverse pass through the diagram. And so the marking for that, there were basically 2 marks for going in one direction, method mark and answer mark, and a further 2 marks coming back again. We want now to look at the critical paths. So the critical paths will be where the slack is 0. The slack is calculated from the duration subtracted from the latest finish time and also the earliest finishing time. So for example, the slack in D here would be 9 minus 3 minus 4, which is equal to 2. So that has got some slack in it, but the ones that don't have are A starting at A, E, H, K and L, and also B has no slack, F as well. I has got some slack in it, and in fact all the others have. So there are 2 critical paths, or at least the critical path splits if you like to think of it in that way. They are A, E taking the top one first, A, E, H, K, L, and also B, F, H, K, L. And the minimum completion 21 days, just this number at the end of the diagram coming in there. So the critical paths and the duration awarded 3 marks in total, and a method mark and an A mark for the critical paths, and a simple B mark for getting the value of 21. Well, the next part of the question, we're asked to produce a Gantt chart for the diagram, and it's usual to start off by putting the critical path. So taking A, E, H, K and L first of all, that will take us from 0 all the way through to a total of 19 on here. Now we need to indicate each of those. A is duration 4, so there's A. E is duration 4, so that takes us up to 8. H is duration 6, taking us up to 14. K is 5. I'm sorry, I said a total of 19, I meant 21, I beg your pardon, that was K. And just moving that to the correct position, which is 21. K finishes at 19 and L is duration 2. So there's our critical path A, E, H, K, L. We can also indicate the other 2 critical ones, B and F, in a similar fashion. B can start at 0 and is duration 3. And F has a duration of 5, so again also takes us up to 8. So there B and F. no slack to indicate on those. So now we've covered all those, we need to look at the ones which have some slack. So C, first of all, can start at 0, has duration 2, so there's C going in, but it's possible for it to be an hour later than that, sorry, a day later than that. And we're looking at the putting it in at the earliest start time. So there's C at that point. That one's now covered. D can start at 4 and has duration 3. So it's used to go up from there. D can start at this position 4 and has duration of 3. And has to be completed by 9. So that's at 7. We've got a slack time of 2, which can go in like that for D. G needs to start at 8, time 8, which is this position here, and has duration 8, which takes us up to 16. And has to be finished by 17, so there's a day's slack there for G. I must also start at 8, has duration of 2, which brings us up to 10, but has a slack period of 4 in here to mean that it's got to be finished by time 14, which is in there. And the final one is J, which can start at 16, which is here, duration 2, and a slack period of 1. So I just got slightly missing my position there. Should be in at start point of 16, I beg your pardon, so let's get that correctly in position. 16 is at the same time as G finishes. Which is here. Duration 2. And a slack period of 1, bringing up to finish at 19. So there we are, there's the Gantt chart. The marking for that was to give a method mark for getting some of it, a B1 mark for critical path, and then an A mark if everything else was correct. The final part says that activity I takes 9 days. So I actually is completed not on time. It can start at its position 8, but isn't going to get finished until day 17. Now, because I has an impact on K, we can see that that is going to move K along by it's instead of starting at 14, it's going to start at 17, which means that it's going to go from 17 to 5 plus 5. It's going to not get finished until day 22. So what's going to happen if I indicate this on the diagram? If I takes it's 9 days, it's actually going to complete at this point here, which means that K can't start until day 17 and has a duration of 5, so it doesn't actually get completed until sorry, I've got 17 in the wrong place again, beg your pardon. Yeah, it's probably a slight warning for you to make sure you get the right position. 17 is actually at that point there. So let's get that corrected. And 17 then comes in from here, and therefore it's going to go for 5 days from there up to day 22. So K is now in this position here, which means that L can't start until that point, which means that we actually finish after 24 days. So putting that in to explain what we've done, we can say that I completes now at the end of day 16. So K starts on that day, or is that on day 17, and therefore goes from 17 to 22, which means that L starts on day 22, and as its duration 2 days, goes to day 24. So we're actually the earliest possible starting times for activities K are 17, and for L 22, and therefore we get a completion date of 24. So the whole project is delayed by 3 days. Right, the marking then for that part of the question was to give B1 marks here for these times. You don't need to go through the extent of marking on your diagram at all. That was me just trying to explain where they came from. You can simply write down the values. K starts on day 17 and L starts on day 22. And therefore the delay was also an extra mark, B1 mark. Right, that completes that question. There are other solutions to be found on www.furthermaths.org.uk.